Welcome to Open Office Hours with Cory Vance, a financial consultant. I have today as my special guest, Coty Walker from What If You Fly Coaching. Open Office Hours is a chance for you to get to know me a little bit on a low pressure environment. A lot of financial advisors and planners are not as accessible as people would like. And so there's a chance to get to know me a little bit and get to know my guest. So you can utilize her skills and resources to help you grow your business and your wealth. I'm Cory Vance. I do financial plans and I give financial advice. I help small business owners grow their business and portfolio wealth as two parts of one complete financial picture, a holistic picture. I bring in expert partners like Coty and others as resources to help you grow your business. When you grow your business, your personal finances are not only less strained, but they have more potential. Ultimately, if your business is running smoothly, you have more opportunity to either successfully sell your business or transition it to your child or another family member if you want, or sell it to an outside party. Whatever your exit plan is for your business, we're here to help you get there. So without further ado, I'll introduce Coty Walker, my special guest for tonight. Coty is a life coach. Her company, as I said, is called What If You Fly Coaching. I've known Coty for almost a year. I've been really impressed by her. I'll be honest, and I've told Coty this before, life coaches isn't something I've always been comfortable with, the idea. And maybe lots of people aren't comfortable with financial planners either. So that's fine too. But Coty is different than any other life coach I've ever met. I'll let her fill in the details, but please welcome Coty Walker. Coty, go ahead.
Thank you, Cory. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Cory, for inviting me. My name is Coty Walker, and I'm a transformational health and life coach. My niche is guiding people through life's transitions. I work with people who are feeling stuck, who are overwhelmed as they navigate through significant changes in their life, whether people starting a new career or going through major relationship shifts or experiencing a significant health transformation. For example, for women, this could be going through menopause. Navigating these changes in life can be difficult. I am a supportive guide trained to help people embrace transformation, achieve optimal well-being, and make empowered choices. I have a personalized and holistic approach that empowers people to identify and overcome obstacles that stand in the way of progress. I provide my clients with valuable tools, techniques, and strategies to enhance their physical abilities, foster mental resilience, and cultivate emotional balance. I try to empower my clients and inspire them to tap into their inner strength and embrace change to seize opportunities for their evolution. Undertaking changes requires a comprehensive approach, and I work closely with these clients to integrate healthy habits, self-care practices that are very important, to cultivate positive relationships that nourish their mind, their body, their soul. And I empower my clients to navigate life transitions with grace, resilience, and confidence. Sometimes when it comes to our businesses, as many of us are self-employed, we don't hesitate to invest in our businesses, but often we're reluctant to invest in ourselves. What I always say, and that I want anybody that watches this to remember, is that personal growth is business growth. If we don't take care of ourselves, our businesses won't develop as we wish. So again, thank you, Cory, for having me today.
You're very welcome, Coty. And again, thank you so much for coming. I like what you just said there. We've all seen those stereotypical executives who are super successful at work, seemingly, at least on the surface, right? But then maybe their home life is a wreck, or their health is completely a wreck. They have a heart attack at 52 and they're gone, or incapacitated. Those are indicators of people whose life is out of balance and not looking after themselves. So I'm excited to learn more about how you do that and some of the resources and tools that you employ to do that. How long have you been in Calgary? You're from another country. You have a bit of an accent, so I just want to highlight that. I think that's so neat. Whereabouts are you from, and how did you end up in Calgary? Tell us a bit about that journey.
Yes, thanks for asking. I am originally from Peru. So I come from South America. I moved to Calgary when I was 18. And then I lived 8 years here in Calgary, and then I moved to Europe. I went to study and I did an MBA in Europe, and then I stayed there for 14 years. I'm married to a Calgarian, and then the family brought us back. We have been back for 10 years.
So you've got a husband. How many kids?
I have 2 kids, 10 and 17.
Wow.
Keep me busy.
Yeah. Well, as a former boy myself, I can say hats off to you, because I know I put my mom through the ringer, and I've met one of your sons. He's nothing like the rebellious teenage that I was at that age. So hats off to you for that. Yeah. And so how did you get into this kind of transformational coaching? You mentioned you got your MBA. I know you've studied psychology. How did you end up doing transformational coaching?
It's an interesting story. I was in the business world for a long time. I have 20 years of digital marketing under my belt. I worked when I was in Europe. I worked for big companies. I worked for Nestle, I worked for Hewlett Packard, and it was all very exciting and beautiful. And I was busy building a career, but I always had the feeling that I had a different purpose. I didn't know what my purpose was, but I knew it wasn't to make money for big companies, which was what I was doing. You do what you do. I had a passion for digital marketing, and it was a beautiful stage in my life. But then I got to a point where I wanted to engineer the next 20 years of my life and make an impact. I went through a lot of soul searching and trying to figure out what my purpose was and what the next stage of my career should look like. And this is part of the reason of why I specialize in that now, because I want to help people. If I had a life coach that would have walked with me through that path, it would have taken me maybe 3 months instead of 2 years. Right. To figure out what I wanted to live the rest of my life.
You're a better person than me to be able to do that in 2 years or even 3 months. I've been the kind of person that's wanted to always improve. I sort of jokingly say I'm a slow learner, but I'm a learner, which I think is normal. We tend to resist change, right? Even if we want something to change and improve in our lives, it's scary. We don't know what that new life, what that new world is going to look like for us. And that causes a lot of resistance. I'm sure you see that in your clients and people that you meet. What are some of the maybe 1 or 2 examples of clients you've worked with where you've really helped them? Not only you've seen the change, but you've helped them really see the change, the transformation in their life that they were hoping to get.
I have many examples of that. I've seen people completely change their habits. One of my first clients, male, around 35 years old, wanted to live a healthier lifestyle. He was your typical IT guy who was just focused on his computer all day, all night. Young family. He wanted to set a good example for his kids. He wanted to explore the outdoors, but he just couldn't, get into the habit of living a healthier lifestyle. He wasn't overweight, but he was afraid for his health because he ate mostly junk food. He went through one of my programs, and we have kept in touch through the years. Not that long ago, he sends me a text, says he knows some of my family, knows my husband. He says, "Do you guys want to go for a hike?" He says, I just completed Howling Peak in Canmore. I want to look for something else. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this guy who couldn't but didn't do anything and everything. So we ended up going for a hike. He brought his boys that are now hiking with him. And he had packed this fabulous, healthy lunch. And I show up there with my power bar, I'm like, my goodness. I go, you always ate junk food. What happened? And he goes, well, I had a health coach.
That's awesome.
That's me. So he said that is now part of his habits. He clean, he exercises, he motivates his kids to spend less time in front of electronics as a family, and he's happy.
That's excellent. That's so great. It's amazing what someone said on a podcast I listened to earlier today. A kayak could replace 20 years of therapy. I don't know if that's exactly true, but certainly getting outdoors, getting fresh air, getting exercise, moving your body and getting out in around other environments is extremely healthy. And
for him, it was very important to set up that example with a young family. His oldest one is only 14. He has 2 other boys that are younger than that. So for him, that was important. He wanted to show the kids the outdoor.
Yeah. Cool. So did you start this transformational life coaching after you moved to Calgary, or did you start this before you moved to Calgary?
No, I started it's going to be 3 years ago now. I started it after I got to Calgary. I realized I wanted to change, but I wasn't sure. So I continued with my digital marketing career. Then COVID came, and that was a good opportunity for me to kind of take a step back and rethink things. I think COVID was a prompt for many of us to change things, that re-engineer our lives. And it certainly gave us a lot of time to think. So
That's right.
I went through it then. I started my courses. I started my studies through COVID. And yeah, I have finished all my degrees now.
Nice. Nice. So I know that you recently hosted with someone that you partner with on some events, you hosted a concentrated workshop. Maybe you can describe it more accurately. What kind of event did you hold? Can you tell us about the purpose of it and one or two stories from that event?
Yes, thank you. It was a retreat. I hosted my first retreat. It was attended by women. I didn't close it only to women, but I seem to attract just ladies this time. It was about figuring out your purpose, figuring out what you wanted to do, and to put a little bit of a structure around it, to be able to not only identify your purpose, but to set goals around that purpose, so that for the rest of the year, you had a guide to achieve the things you want in your life.
That's excellent. I know there's been times in my life where I've hired a coach. I've hired marketing coaches. A few years back, I hired a personal trainer. When you have that personal accountability and someone working with you, especially after COVID, right? You know, all the conversations like we're having, a lot of them went online and people stopped interacting in person, and a lot of people lost that personal connection. And so I think when you have that coach in person with you, they can see your body language, they can see your demeanor, they can see how the things that they're learning are causing them to process, and then you can have a more personal effect on their journey, as it were.
Yeah, it is amazing. One of the things that you mentioned that is essential, that accountability, right? And I think that's why coaching is effective. Sometimes it's not rocket science, but it's just getting you to realize things that you might know, but you don't want to face or accept. And also it's that accountability, that person that is there to kind of maybe put you out of your comfort zone a little bit, stretch you a little bit, help you, push you a little bit further. Like, it's the same thing if you think about sport coaches, what do? The athletes are good enough. They are excellent. They need that coach to get to that next level.
Right.
It is like that in your business as well. If you have a business coach, the coach will help you get to the next level. Your life coach or your health coach are going to do the same thing.
Right. Exactly. And I've followed different inspirational people online, for example. One of my most inspirational people is David Goggins. I resisted digging into his first book for a long time. But the first one, most of the first third or quarter of it was him talking about his childhood. And it was heartbreaking. So it was really hard to get through that. People told me, just power through that. It'll be worth it. So I did. The fact that this guy, what he has proven himself capable of, how much further he can go than you think you can go. I've really been inspired by that. You just reminded me of that as you were talking. We're capable of so much more than we realize. Having that accountability and that person in person with you really can help you to say, why did you stop there? You could have done 3 more bench presses or whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. Why did you stop writing that? And your face changed and your body language changed. What were you thinking about then? There's really a lot of power there.
Yeah, there is. And also something that you just said is we're capable of a lot more than we think. And that is one of the things that the coaches usually do. They hold a vision for you. And I think that that's very important. When I engage with clients, I have always a vision for them. And I share that vision with them on our discovery call. And I say, this is the vision that I have for you. Do you want to walk this path together? A lot of them go like, wow, am I capable of that? Of course. But sometimes we just kind of don't look at it that way. We're so wrapped in the day-to-day and afraid of change or afraid of stretching ourselves, right? And it is very normal to be afraid of change. It's our brain actually trying to keep us safe.
Yeah, that's a good point. Our brain uses approximately 600 calories per day. That's if you literally lied on the couch all day and didn't do any work with your body. The lizard brain part of our brain is there to protect us, right? It's the first defense against intruders and risk and harm. So it's not surprising that, like I mentioned earlier, we resist change because even if we see something we want, it is scary. But yeah, that's a really good point you made there. So I want to just ask you, we talked about the retreat you held there. That's obviously not the only thing you do. What are some of the different types of coaching? I hate to say the word packages, but sort of relationships that you build or have with clients. What do you offer in terms of different kinds of interactions?
You mean the different types of coaching?
Yeah.
I do health coaching and life coaching. You could say that they are linked, but I have had clients that were straight on the health area. Some clients came to me and they were like, I want to lose 20 pounds. That's what I want to do, And that brings them more to the health area. And some other ones were a mix of both. They were like, yeah, I want to lose some weight, but also I need to work on my confidence, or I want to work in my relationships, or I'm kind of a yes person. I need to learn to set boundaries. I do a combination of both, or some are straight life coaching. Like I do a lot of coaching around purpose to help me find my path. I'm in the middle of a career decision, or I need to prepare myself for a promotion. I know I'm getting this promotion, but I'm afraid, like, how can I be the best I can be? And at the same time, I want to have a good work-life balance.
Right. That's great.
And usually the way with all of this is, especially health, is 90-day programs. So it's once a week, a session of 1 hour once a week for 90 days.
Okay.
So 12 sessions, and then you can really see the progression. But I do have very customizable packages. I work with people sometimes, in a month-to-month basis, or sometimes, after a discovery session, I go, okay, to deal with this, let's do 6 sessions. I think this is what we can cover in 6 sessions. And
nice. So you're not like some therapists that are like, okay, welcome. It'll be a nice 10 years getting to know you. Some short interactions.
That's one of the beautiful things about coaching. Coaching is about moving you forward. Sometimes therapy, like some types of therapy, and I don't want to talk about, I'm not a therapist or anything. I think that there's value in all these things because they do very valuable things. But I don't want to get people stuck in the past. That's for people that have to deal with trauma or things like that. That's a completely different thing. But I just want to move people forward. Let's work on results. Let's move them forward and make sure that they are living the best lives they can live.
Excellent. That's fantastic. Obviously, there's different theories out there about how to do that. And I'm not going to dissect all that today, but some people look at a year as you mentioned 90 days. Do you find 90 days is just a really good, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a really good period of time that people can focus on and change 1 or 2 things? Or do some people really need like a 1-year plan? A year from now, next January 1st, you want to be X? Did you see a good mix, or is it a lot of 90 days, let's focus on 1 or 2 things?
That's a really good question. I see a lot of results in 90 days. What I do find is that at the end of 90 days, a lot of my clients renew. They go, okay, now I went from here to here, but now I need to go here. It's a new baseline. Okay, right. So I want to go here. And it could be, often is not exactly on the same issue. We go to work on something else. Because they feel that they have progressed so much on one thing that they are now ready to move something else. To give you an example, I had a client that started with me for weight loss. She didn't want to lose that much. I think it was only 20 pounds or 15 pounds. I don't remember very well. But she lost a bit over half of that. Yep. When we finished, she said that she had realized that it wasn't about the weight loss. That what she had gained was so valuable because she had gained full understanding of her body, on her intuition around eating, on her eating habits, and on her movement. She was happy she hadn't lost all the weight because she didn't see a problem with continuing through that path. No. But now she was ready to work on other things, and she wanted to work on her relationships at home.
Right.
She said, let's do another program, if you have another program, which I do, to work on by relationships, especially the relationship with her husband. So that's what we did. And through that other 90 days, we kept going back and forth and, and checking on the weight, making sure that everything is still okay and that she was, on the right.
Right. And it's interesting, just made me think of something when you were talking there, is weight is something that is an issue for a lot of people, meaning that is something that a lot of people want to lose weight. I'm not saying everyone should be thin or anything like that. I'm just saying a lot of people want to lose weight. But a lot of times when we're processing things, I'm just speaking for myself. I'm not pointing any fingers other than me. I use food to cope with stress. It takes a lot of willpower or shame or guilt. Sometimes it's just saying no to not do that. But what I'm trying to say is that people may think I want to lose a few pounds or whatever. And really, that's more of a symptom of what they really need to work on rather than being the main issue, right?
It is. And you hit the nail in the head here. And it's really interesting because people come with just the thought of, I need to lose weight. They live with a lot more than just that because they understand the issues. And what is interesting here is that we need to change. The work that we do is not just like, I will never give a person a diet. So it's not about this, and it's not about putting them in an exercise plan or anything like that. It's working at the identity level. If a person identifies themselves with being healthy or being thin, they're going to take actions that support that identity.
Right.
Most of us have had something in the past that had made us feel not necessarily like that. So if I identify myself as an unhealthy person, any action that I take is going to reflect that. So I'm going to be choosing sugary foods or junk food. We need to change that mindset of what are the choices that a healthy person or a person that wants to be healthy takes in their life to support that lifestyle, right? So it's understanding your body, it's understanding when you're full, it's understanding when you're hungry, it's not getting to the point where you're hungry. It's many things about awareness that sometimes we're too busy to pay attention to or that seem too trivial to bother with.
Right. And even just identifying, wait a minute, it's 10 o'clock at night. I had a good sized dinner. Why am I wanting to eat right now? There's some feeling or thought that's making me feel in a way other than what I want to feel about myself. Not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but
we eat when we're sad, we eat when we're happy, we eat when we're stressed, we're bored.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. So true. Okay, cool. So I just kind of want to review for people. And I'm guessing that the QR code in your background goes to your website. Is that correct? Excellent. So the kinds of things that you can help people with, obviously you mentioned weight loss, you mentioned confidence. Do you help people with smoking, for example, or is it any habit someone wants to change that you can help them with, or is there certain things?
Yeah, smoking, that's a tough one. I have never been in that situation. I could do a health program, but I wouldn't claim that I can help someone quit smoking. The same thing with drug abuse or alcohol abuse. There are programs specifically designed for things like that. Mine is a more general approach. I've done a lot of weight loss that has worked, those kind of things, or anything related to life that people like. Whenever people are feeling stuck with something that have identified there's something that is holding them back, I can help them release those beliefs or change those beliefs about themselves so that they can move forward or that they can gain that clarity that they need to move forward.
Excellent. And can you give us a couple of tips? What are some easy things that people can do to start down a path to change so they can start to see some positive results, and then maybe they'll be inspired to contact you and take that further?
Well, one of the things that I always ask my clients is, what do they do for self-care? Male or female? I think that is extremely important. And you will be surprised that sometimes throw people off because they're like, okay, self-care, what do you mean? Hobby? Not necessarily. What do you do for self-care? How are you putting yourself first? And I think that's an important question, something that people should consider. What are they doing for themselves? What is the one thing, the one little thing that they could be doing for themselves? And I'm not saying taking themselves to a spa or spending lots of money on this or a massage, but what do they have in their lives daily, even for 5 minutes or 3 minutes? Is it a gratitude practice? Is it 3 minutes of breathing in the morning? Is it 1 minute of stretching after getting out of bed? Establish a practice, establish one thing. It could be just 1 to 3 minutes that you're doing for you every day.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I like that. It doesn't have to be a big production. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can just be 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes of just meditating, thinking about how you want your day to go, or I don't want to put words in your mouth, just focused on something that'll make you more grounded or feel better.
Yeah.
And
Okay. That helps you control stress. If you have stress in your life, breathing, take 10 deep breaths before you have your main meal of the day. That's going to make a big difference to your digestion.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. So what's something else that people can do that's simple that can help them to shift things a little bit in their life in a positive way?
Another thing I like is once a year to take some time to set some goals or to build a vision board for themselves. We all think we know where we want to go, but until we put it down or we express it or we visualize it, that's the power of vision boards. Sometimes that gets buried and then we get busy with the day to day. Maybe we want to live a healthier lifestyle, but if we have it in a vision board in our office, we will see it every day. It will motivate us to do something. Or then it can be difficult.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I've known you almost a year, and we've had many chats. We're in a networking group together. So we've chatted a number of times, and it's got me thinking, full disclosure, I haven't hired Coty, but her inspiration, her positive influence has rubbed off on me in the sense that it's inspired me to take some time to think about what do you want to do. And I mentioned my resistance earlier. I'm resistant to just about every major trending book or whatever is the latest thing. I'm resistant to them all until about 10 years later. And I come around and realize, okay, yeah, that was a legit thing. And I try to incorporate it. But I sat down at the beginning of this year and I set some more intentions and goals or habits that I want to incorporate into my life over the next year. Initially, I had 12. And I thought, well, okay, in January, I'll master one of those things. And then by the end of February, I'll master the second one. And by the end of March, et cetera. And by the end of the year, if nothing goes really wrong, maybe I'll still have all 12. What I found was that when I started to see success in one little thing, it motivated me to start the second thing sooner because I wanted more of that oxytocin. I wanted more of that good feeling of, hey, I've accomplished something. I found out by the 7th of April, not even 4 months in, I had 8 or 9 of those things I'd already integrated into my life. And yeah, well, thanks. I don't say that to brag, but it's a testament to the power of someone like yourself helping a person. I try not to monopolize here, but I have this fixation on boldness. I've been trying to become a more bold person for years, and I still don't feel super bold, but it's something that's really important to me to pursue. And I mentioned my resistance. I hate acronyms when people say fear is just false expectations appearing real. I've always resisted that kind of a thing because it seems a little cheesy to me. But I tried to get over that a few years ago, and I came up with a reverse version of that. Rather than false expectations appearing real, I think we need faith, encouragement, action, and resilience, right? Mm-hmm. And that'll help us to overcome fear. And faith, I just mean believing in the possibility of something changing, of improvement, right? And then either yourself or someone else encouraging you. That's where a coach comes in to encourage you, remind you what's possible. And didn't you really want this thing? And how are you doing? What are you doing to take care of yourself, like you said, right? So, and then obviously you have to take action. You have to do something. And then resilience is something you gain by trying and failing and just getting up and keep going, right? And the coaching really helps with that. The coaches I've hired and I've had in the past have really gone a long way to help me with all of those things, believing it's possible, and then moving towards, well, yeah, no big deal, right? Okay, I fell down, I'll get up, do it again. So I have a lot of respect for coaches. And
that's amazing. I want to congratulate you on doing that, on setting those goals and going for them. And it's something that I love that you said, you decided to start with one. And I think that that's so important because so many people, and so many times we all do this, we set up all these goals and want them right away. So we start with everything. And then the first week, we fail on half of them because it's impossible to make all of these changes at once. And then we feel like a failure and we abandon. The fact that you started with one and you achieve one, and then you move to the second one, and it just became that thing that you need to continue going for. That's amazing. And that's great. And that's exactly the way to do it. You know, one of the things that we say is little hinges open big doors. And that's the key. It's not huge changes. It's not losing 20 pounds at once. It's starting with those 10 and making those changes that are going to make them sustainable.
Right.
Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you. So maybe you could share another story of one of your clients. I don't want this to all be about me.
Well,
But maybe share another story if you could about one of your clients and how you've seen the transition. So yeah, maybe you could share us one more story like that.
well, I've seen a lot of transitions. One of my clients engaged me because she wanted to do a career change. She was in the latest stages of her career, within 10 years of retirement, great career in the oil and gas field. But she was never really happy at work. And she was getting into the point where she's like, I don't want this anymore. And she has a very strong artistic side and she wanted to explore that. So we did a full 90 days with her to really bring clarity on what she wanted to do and everything. And it was interesting because at the beginning, she was at a point where she was like, okay, I've done it. I'm just going to go and be an artist. And then she realized that her identity was so linked to her career that she wanted to continue with that, but to start developing that artistic side on the side instead, which she hadn't really considered doing. For her, she's kind of like black and white kind of person, is all up or nothing.
Right.
But then she realized that what she really felt comfortable with and wanted to do was to start shifting that identity little by little, because she almost felt ashamed to admit that she wanted to be an artist when she had such a great career in the corporate world.
Yeah.
Well, now she's built a little studio in her house, a little art studio, and starting to go little by little and starting to put her art out there and talk about it. That transition, and it's been a couple of years, and it's working very well for her in a more paced manner, instead of just going, I'm just gonna throw it all out. I'm just gonna become an artist tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's interesting, like a couple of things you said there. There's the processing that has to happen where we talked about this earlier. We talked about maybe diet isn't really the thing that you need to work on when a person's transitioning, especially career-wise. We have so much of our identity wrapped up in our career. And if our career doesn't go the way we thought it would, or we think it should, we can have a lot of personal angst, anxiety, and frustration about that. So I think it's interesting that you helped her clarify that she didn't have to dive deep into the art full time, and there's different ways to do it. The paradigms that we have in our head that we grew up with, whether it's from our parents or society, they don't have to stick with us our whole life, right? We can set our own paradigm and choose our own path, really. And there's nowadays with the internet and with everything, there's just a million different ways to, you can go and you can have fulfillment and even financial success if that's important to a person, or, health and different things in a million different ways. There's so many options.
Right. And it's interesting because that's similar to my story as well. I had a 20 years digital marketing career. That was my identity. And at the beginning, when I got my coaching certification, it was interesting when I would meet people and people are like, what do you do? I will go, I'm a life coach, but I have been in marketing for 20 years. One day I was just thinking, why why does it matter? It doesn't hurt. And it's funny now, of course, that has been part of my growth, but it's like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a coach, it doesn't matter what I do. Or if it doesn't come up, it doesn't come up.
That's right. So what I hear you saying is you weren't born a coach. You transitioned into a coach, which really makes you a good person to help coach other people because you understand what they're going through. You've been through transitions in your life. You moved from South America to North America as a teenager. Then you moved to Europe, right? And you had a career there. Then you moved back to Canada. I mean, there's many transitions there, getting married, having kids, career transitions. Those are all transitions. And so I think it's important that when I look for people to help me, to guide me, which is really how I see you as like a guide, I want them to understand what I'm going through. And when I spent 13 months a few years back trying to do a complete body transformation from a fat guy to a fit guy, I had an incredible transition, but part of the success of that was I had a coach. And that coach understood what I was going through. So I wasn't alone. I wasn't someone barking orders. I was someone who had a similar injury to me and was able to help me not only develop the skills and the habits, but understanding the softer skill part of like I mentioned earlier, the encouragement that people need. And yeah, what you're going through is normal, and just back it off a bit today and do a bit more and more or whatever. Like, so yeah, the fact that you've been through that is a fantastic testament to your ability to help other people.
Thank you. And amazing. Kudos to you for having gone through so many transformations as well.
Well, it's something we don't, the way I look at it now is we can't necessarily choose. I mean, we choose in a sense that, like I did many times for many years, is resist, right? We choose not to transition when we should because we resist. But in a large way, we can't necessarily choose when we transition, right? Sometimes life, you lose your job, or you lose a spouse, or you might lose a child, God forbid, or whatever, right? You might even just lose or gain something, right? Someone wins the lottery, right? Well, now all of a sudden your life has changed. Whether that's a literal lottery or the job of their dreams or the partner of their dreams or moving to another country that they've always dreamed of, that's also a transition, right? So we can't always choose those. So we have to choose how we transition. And, hopefully we get better as we go, right?
Yeah. And sometimes it's also recognizing that there is help out there, right? We don't necessarily have to do this alone. From my own experience looking back, I wish I had someone to walk through that transition with me. When I started my courses, I got so much support and coaches as part of my program routine. And when I actually started getting coached, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My personal growth went from here to here.
Yeah, that's right. And you said something there. The reason why I wanted to bring you on as a special guest today and to introduce you to my audience and my clients and potential clients is because I truly believe in the value of a coach. I tell people this all the time. Maybe we've had a teacher or a coach that was terrible or didn't treat us right. That can be true. At the same time, a good coach can be phenomenal assistance in that transition, and not just that transition at the time, but future transitions, as I mentioned. You talked about wanting someone to help you. Years ago, when I had another business, I did $1 million to $1.3 million in sales every year. I had up to 5 locations and up to 12 staff. There were several transitions I went through in that business over the 15 years. Either I relocated my office or I completely renovated. I sort of forced a transition, trying to make a positive change. There were times in the business where I struggled with certain things. I did some good things and I made lots of mistakes, but I looked for coaches, experts, and guides like yourself that could help me with specific things, and I couldn't find them. And so that's one of the reasons why I brought you on and other people like you that I've had on and will have on to introduce to people, is because there are people out there that can help, right? We don't have to go it alone. Most people didn't go to business school, right? Most people didn't go to life school. K to 12 is not really life school. It's math and reading and how to sit in rows and learn certain skills, but not necessarily life skills. So I'm really excited to have had you on tonight, Coty. And I think that, hopefully we'll do more together in the future. I just really want people to know that there's help out there. They don't have to feel stupid or just because they don't know something. There's assistance, there's help, there's guides. You're a fantastic one. And I mentioned earlier as a disclosure that I hadn't hired you, but I have referred people to you. I've given clients gift certificates to your business, and I truly believe in your ability, or I wouldn't have had you on here. I want to give you a chance to say more before we go. Any parting thoughts, anything you forgot to say, or anything you want to share before we close off tonight?
Thank you, Cory. I really appreciate being part of this series. When you discussed having me for this and you explained the purpose of doing this series, I think that that's a fantastic idea because it's just bringing resources to people and it just shows a bit of your service attitude. Every time I talk to you, I learn a little bit more about you and a little bit more of your journey. It makes me happy to share this space with you. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thanks again, Coty. And so before we go, I wanted to highlight the QR code behind you. It goes to your website, which is the
whatifyoufly.ca.
whatifyoufly.ca. Okay. Obviously, your phone number is there. People can reach out to you. I hope that we can do more things like this together and do some in-person events like this, but only better and in the future. And I look forward to you helping my clients and to seeing my clients grow through your guidance and all that you have to offer. I really appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cory. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, everybody. We'll be back next Tuesday for another edition of Open Office Hours. Stay tuned to my social medias for upcoming guest speakers. Thank you, everyone. Good night for now.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.